Well, hello everybody, this is Tim Green with Rattle Magazine. Welcome to Poet Respond Live, your Sunday morning open mic for poems about current events. It's a way to look at current events through the lens of poetry and share what we think of what's going on today and keeping poetry relevant. So thanks for joining me and looking forward to hearing a bunch of great poems today. Now, before we begin, let me tell you how it works. So first, email the poem if you haven't submitted it. If you submitted it through Submittable already, I can just pull it up there. But if you haven't, email it to openmic@rattle.com. That's openmic@rattle.com. Do that first so I can show the poem on screen as you read. And then give me a call at 818-850-7727. Or send me a chat message over Skype at rattlepoetry, all one word. And either way, I will call you back when it's your turn. We go in the order received, try to make sure we get to new people before returning guests. And we'll have about an hour at most, so I'll call you back the next hour if you do one of those two things. And now, today's poem we'll start with was, and I haven't put it on screen yet, today's poem is right here. This is by Julia B. Levine. And let me fix this so everyone can see. There we go. That is Instructions for the Day After by Julia B. Levine. And let's give Julia a call. Oops. Okay, here we go. Let's give Julia a call. Hey, Julia, how you doing? I'm doing great. Let me pull you in for everybody to see what we have a good connection already. So, and I forgot to adjust this camera too. It's the early morning show, so things aren't quite set up. But the audience can see me if you can't. You're kind of peeking over my computer monitor. But how are you doing today?
I'm really well, and I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for writing that poem. Where are you calling from? Where are you located? I forget.
I live in Davis, California.
Ah, okay, so just up the road from us a little bit. So your poem was about, and I was going to say before we even started that we had about 300 poems this week, and I think 295 were about the January 6th insurrection, as it's being called. And we published 2 last week. This is the third of the poems about it, because that's what everybody's writing about. Can you talk a little bit about what inspired this poem, though? What I loved about it was just there's so many wonderful lines in this poem. There's so many sort of, I don't know, just phrases you could snip out and just remember for a long time. There's beautiful ways of saying this, like the difficult miracle of being, just phrases like that I love. But can you talk a little bit about where this poem came from?
Well, I guess I want to first say how touched I am that everybody's writing about it, because it's kind of hard to think about anything else. It's such a, it feels like such a culmination of surviving these last 4 years in a kind of horrible way. And I'm really glad people are trying so hard to make sense of it, because it's so painful and intense, right? For me, it's always this this strange juxtaposition between how beautiful the natural world is and how terrible sometimes things can be otherwise. So, like the world can be in these wild places going on gorgeously, and then these terrible things are happening to people. And how do you make sense of it? And I love the whole concept of tikkun olam for that, just the idea that perfection is shattered and each of us are a little splinter of that original vessel, and we have to find a way to repair it. It just kind of speaks to me about how shredded things can feel at moments and how they don't go together.
Yeah, I love what you said about it being and I can't remember how you put it, but like it's the climax of what we've been, the last if what we've been living in is a novel or something, like that's sort of it really is the climax before the resolution. And so your poem sort of sets up what would be maybe the epilogue or something, which would be really nice to think about. So
I can say a little bit about what inspired me to write it, which was it wasn't exactly the day after, but a couple days after, when it was the weekend, I went out to one of my favorite places to hike, which is Point Reyes National Seashore. And actually, a lot of it is closed right now because of the fires we had this summer. But there are a few trails open, and so there's a lot of people there. And there were these, literally on this beautiful trail, and it had rained, and it was all green, and there were elk and deer everywhere. There were these families with their children just playing in the sand dunes on what is normally a pretty empty, wild place. And it was really very moving to me to because in this pandemic, what else are we supposed to do? And so we're all sort of making this pilgrimage to the ocean, to this past this beautiful place. And that's what primarily inspired the poem, was that. And also seeing that picture of that congressman on his knees, picking up those pieces and trying to clean what he considered a very sacred place. That was so moving to me too.
yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to ask where that image of the creek and the children came from. So yeah, cool. Well, do you want to go ahead and share the poem for everybody?
Oh, okay, sure. Okay. Instructions for the day after. Let us start with the difficult miracle of being, the wild rabbiting of a creek singing the falsetto and minor keys through a million throats of gravel and flint, the alders turning towards a sharper green. Now let us pause a moment on this bench beside the trail and look across the lagoon to those boys at play in sand. Sound travels so perfectly over water. But tell me, is it Farsi or Hebrew they are speaking? 6 skulls white as tombstones fly overhead. After all these epochs in the salt light of January, elk and deer grazing on this new green after rain. Let us consider that we are still walking over the leach fields of slavery and genocide. Now let us take inventory of our terror, our longing as a lyric violence, our flesh as shroud and veil. How last night in pitch black, the coyotes were not just calling, but keening for something deeply torn. Today, let us consider repair, how the smaller of the 2 boys kneels at the mirror of the dark water, like the congressman who spent the night on his knees picking up glass and bullet casings from the rotunda floor. Let us remember that old story about God shattering his own perfection to make room for this world. As for giving up on America, do you hear it too? That young boy calling to his brother, how in the mouth of a young child, every language sounds like water, leaping, tumbling into song.
Just a beautiful poem. Thanks so much for sharing that, Julia, and yeah, and for joining us on Poetry Spun Live. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so that was Julia B. Levine with Instructions for the Day After. Now, let's move on to the open mic section of the show. We have a lot of people who are interested in sharing poems this morning, so let's get right into it. I'm accepting some requests from new folks right now, and we will start out with, let me make sure I accept all the requests so you know that I see you. So we got Melissa Williams, Caleb Johnson, Robert Watson's calling in, Paul Ruth, Nivedita Karthik, Unmesh Mohit Kar, Angela Gardner. We have a whole bunch of people. Don Krieger. So let's just get right into it. I had some other stuff lined up, but let's just get right into the open mic, and we'll call up Angela first. And I gotta try to fix this. Let me see.
Hi, Tim.
Hey, Angela, how you doing today?
Good. I wasn't expecting so early, so hold on.
No problem at all.
let me get. I still hear you for some reason. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, now it's done.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's for the new people. I should remind everybody too. I always forget to remind people that I'm calling a little bit from the future, so be prepared and turn off your audio, or else delay gets confusing. So, but yeah. So, what do you have for us? And sorry too, I adjusted my setup a little bit, and I didn't realize my Skype's camera is a little low, so I'm peeking over the window for everybody. If you call in, you'll just see my eyes. But I can't fix it right now. I have to readjust all my little arms and stuff over there. But anyway,
It's nice to see half of you.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you have for us today, Angela?
Well, I wrote this last week. I sent it the revised version
Mm-hmm.
to you.
Okay, I see it.
I
Yeah.
was out of town last week, so I sent this like super late, and I actually for the first time had to type it into the to the box. But like this is the revised version. It's about January 6th, and I'm a journalist, and we kind of look at it a little differently. I'm a former daily journalist. I'm an editor
Mm-hmm.
now of a magazine, but it's definitely I kind of looked at this through a journalistic view, and as a journalist, as far as fearing for other journalists, because just looking at the screen and seeing them in the middle of all that, and it's something where our profession is so hated
Mm-hmm.
by a lot of those people who were writing, and so that's why I wanted to kind of look at it from watching at home as a journalist, and talking a little bit about that. So
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking the same thing too. Being right up in there with helmets, and at one point, there was a sort of they're trying to make a bonfire of all the equipment they were smashing from like the AP and Fox News and things like that. So yeah. Anyway, January 6th for journalists watching at home. Go ahead whenever you're ready. I'll put it on screen.
I woke up that morning feeling the same flutter of anticipation. It's ingrained into our brains, vibrations of a big news day. Ready with my pen, empty reporter's notebook, camera bag, mask, a filled water bottle, and sturdy boots for the mud. Coffee in my hand, I turned on the TV to see the anchor desk. The people with flags, idolizing a lost cause, marching into the US Capitol building are on the screen. I can't look away from the devastation of our country. Anger and revolt are shown in the shutter flashes posted online. Smoke in the crowd who won't back away. Shouts and yells behind reporters with microphones. A bloody body rushes past on a stretcher. Lens secretly clicking to record a rioter who breached the halls with zip ties. As it unfolds, my tears fall. I fear for the lives of my fellow journalists. Sacred walls are scribbled with murderous intentions, and outside, they are destroying AP equipment. I'm not with them to capture the scenes. I think how we are called the enemy. It's part of our jobs to do our work in traumatic situations and to document history, even if it's unsavory. Thank you. Have a
You
good
too.
day. And happy
Okay. Yep.
January. So.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Okay.
Yes, it was Angela Gartner with January 6th for journalists watching at home. And let's call up Ashley Perez, too. We have a whole bunch of people. Let's just try to roll through it really quick. Let's go to Laura Blatt. And remember, I am calling from the future, so make sure you turn off your stream when I call, or else it'll be confusing. And also, you have to have your own poem with you. You can't read it off the screen because it's not lined up right. Like the timing is off.
Okay.
Hey, let's see. We can't see it. This is Laura Blatt. We hear you, though. If you'd like to use the... Oh, there you go. Hello.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us this morning. And where are you calling from?
Pengrove, California, about 45 miles north of San Francisco.
Ah, beautiful place. I love that area. Let me find your poem. Did you submit it through Submittable?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, it's called Shattered.
okay, let me pull it up really quick. And what was it about?
Well, about January, about the day of the insurrection.
Yeah, I think maybe for this episode, maybe for this episode, I won't have to ask anymore because that's pretty much what everything was about. I'm shattered. Okay, is there anything you want to say about it though before we start?
I will say that this actually happened in real time. I came in and my partner was watching the TV, and he was just watching Ted Cruz speak, I think, or something. And I couldn't quite deal with it. And then we saw more and more, and I watched as I went, well, why are they in this line, the perimeter of the Capitol? How did they get there? And then we heard somebody breached the building. And then it went on from there. And I started crying. The words just sort of poured forth. And I started to write this that evening. And this is what came of it.
Okay, well, let's hear it. This is Shattered. Again,
Yes.
by Laura Blatt. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. Shattered. Insurrection at the Capitol. Fierce loyalty unhinges hatred, and promised carnage arrives with guns, crowbars, bats, and bricks. Windows of democracy shatter. House in turmoil, members crouch beneath desks, don gas masks, run through underground tunnels in search of a secure place. 5 people die, many injured. Were they proud boys, followers of Q, citizens poisoned by orange madness? This is not who we are, some say of our nation. But history replies with images of slavery, violence, unearned privilege. We pray to our better selves, reflect on what is holy, begin to understand responsibility does not lie with one man alone.
Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing that. That was Shattered by Laura Blatt. Thanks so much, Laura. Glad you could call in, a first-time caller, and I hope you can call in again sometime soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. That was Laura Blatt. Let's call up next. Okay. Let's call up. Yeah, we have. So Ashley Perez, you did it perfectly. We'll call you up in just a little bit. Just going in kind of the order requests were received here on my Skype page, which is also our phone number. Which once again, let me just tell you the phone number again: 818-850-7727. If you're waiting to see what the phone number is, that's how you call in over the regular phone. Let's call up Don Krieger and see what Don has for us today. Looks like we are friends. Hey, Don, you're coming in, I think.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, yeah. Oh, there you are. How you doing today, Don?
I'm good. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. So do you have is your poem about the same thing as most poems about this week, or something different?
Not exactly, no. But I did write it this week. I actually didn't get it done in time to submit it to Rattle Poetry Spondit, but I wanted you to hear it anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, a pleasure to hear. So what's it about? We are friends, I have. And then we have this picture of the Romanicious Cafe, which I'll put on screen in just a second. So
the Romanicious Cafe is a famous cafe in Berlin where poets gathered and other artists, the Bertolt Brecht and many others. So this has sort of that kind of enriches the poem. You'll see also that there's some footnotes. I'm not going to read those, but they also enrich the poem. The poem doesn't rely on them, so I'm not going to read them.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and hear it. This is We Are Friends. Go ahead whenever you're ready. It's on screen for everybody at home.
Great. We are friends. If we sat together in a Berlin cafe in 32, sharing our art, laughing and learning. I know you would have spoken for hate on that black election day, though the beast and his brown shirts were weaker then than ours are now. Would you still have spoken so in 33 when their mad master, so like ours, became chancellor? Or weeks later when their capital burned? Or the next day when their Patriot Act passed? Or the next month when their Manzanar opened? What say you now, so like then, just weeks since our president's darlings, the uncolored beasts, swarmed our Reichstag? Which of us will pick up your tab this time, and what will it be? When is the end of friendship? Will you speak for the monsters still? Tender for all of us yet again, the vicious caress of your madness?
Excellent. That was Don Krieger with We Are Friends. And I'll put the notes on screen here, the footnotes, and then you can pause it if you want and read the footnotes. But thanks, Don, for so much for sharing that and joining with us. It's interesting to think about for sure. What it must have been like to be in a cafe in 1933, having no idea what's coming. Which hopefully that's not the situation we're in right now, but who knows? I guess.
Yeah, remember the title of this, We Are Friends.
Mm-hmm.
This is about who are your friends who are on the dark side, and when is the end of friendship?
Yeah,
That's what this is about.
Good questions, Don. Thanks for sharing. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep, bye. Okay, let's see. Okay. So let's see who we have next. I see the note from Robert Watson. No problem. Let's see. Let's call up Melissa Williams. We'll see if the Skype works. Melissa gave a phone number too, so we could also do that. If not. Hey, Melissa, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for joining in. So what do you have for us? They stormed the Capitol yesterday is the title of your poem. Is there anything you want to say about it before you start?
Just that I had gone for a walk in the woods with my daughter. There's a pond. She was skating, and it was the day after. And just I wanted to capture in the poem the extreme contrast between the peace of the nature that I was experiencing and nature's indifference, and the thoughts that were filling my brain at the time.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like when we do themes and issues and certain events come up that people respond to, it's always really interesting to me, just from my own personal perspective, to see the different the sort of the angles that like people tend to take. And this idea of nature being indifferent or better or not, I don't know, not having the same trouble is sort of the theme that so many people are writing about in relation to this event from last week. It's interesting. And another one, and I think the 3 poems we published about it all have that kind of angle a little bit, and so many of the other poems have too. So let's hear it. They stormed the Capitol yesterday. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you. They stormed the Capitol yesterday. I wind my way through snow-lined woods. They raised flags of hatred, cost lives. I pause, turn upward, breathing peace under diaphanous clouds against the gauzy blue. Their infantile leader declared his single term the greatest in history. I scan the barren bushes for blazes of berries, fill my lungs with coolness. Our country is suffering one of the greatest assaults on democracy since its founding. A plane, like a white bird, traces a straight line high over the tops of evergreens. They have shut down his Twitter account and his Facebook. The sun flashes through canopies of pine needles, making them glitter. He cannot be allowed to continue to incite mob mentality and violence. A barred owl swoops mere feet in front of me across the trail to rest upon a high branch. The country as we know it might never recover. The owl watches me curious, unruffled. I must go home and try not to read the news for a while. The owl allows me to pass just beneath his perch before revealing wings and soaring silent and serene to a safer tree.
Excellent. That was Melissa Williams from Berwick, Maine, with They Stormed the Capitol yesterday. Thanks so much for sharing that, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Have a good rest of your day.
You as well.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, let's call up next. Let's do Ashley Perez. We'll see what Ashley has for us. Hey, Ashley, can you hear me? We hear you.
Yes.
If you want to be on video too, there's the video button is between the hang up and the mute on your Skype window.
Let's see what Ashley has for us.
And I hear myself in the background too. So turn off the stream. Yeah. I have you on mute right now as we wait to get this. Yeah, pause it there you go. Yeah, no problem. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We see you and hear you both now. So how you doing?
Perfect.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, good. Yeah. So how are you doing today? And what did you write about?
Well, I wrote about January 6th, and I'm excited. It's my first time, so.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. We're always great to have new faces. We have a whole bunch of new faces today, which is just wonderful. Did you submit the poem to Poets Respond? I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah, it's submittable. Yeah.
Okay, let me try to pull it up.
It's called The Wrong American Revolution.
Okay. Okay, let me see if I can find it this way. I see. Okay. So it's under a different name. I don't know if you know that, than Ashley Perez.
Ashley Perez?
Yeah. Oh, that's what your Skype comment says.
My niece's name.
Okay. So you're just on your Skype. So this is Yoseli Castillo.
Yes.
Castillo.
Oh, I have to check that.
Yeah, no problem at all. So this is Yoseli Castillo from Bronx, New York, then.
Yes.
Excellent, perfect. Okay, so no wonder that was the little bit of confusion we had. Okay,
when
so
you said the name Ashley Perez, I'm like, oh, there's another Ashley. I can't wait to see her. She was my niece's name.
Yeah, no problem at all. Okay, so now we're all set up now. The Wrong Revolution. Go ahead and read it whenever you're ready.
The Wrong Revolution. I'm down for insurrection, Mr. G.W. Bush. I am from a banana republic. I fight for social justice, racial justice, human rights. Those Proud Boys opened the White House's doors to revolt. And it was not as hard as everyone thought. We, the real people, should take some notes. Maybe an apple and a tree are not so different after all. Just like in our shithole countries, all we need are the weapons of the military or inertia of the Capitol Police, a posse of corrupt members of Congress, and lots of money to uplift a charismatic faceless leader who will charm the racist and the weak.
Excellent. That was The Wrong American Revolution by Yoseli Castillo. Thanks so much for joining us. Always a pleasure, and love seeing new people. So thanks
for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, so glad you could. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, so that was Yoseli Castillo from the Bronx, New York with The Wrong American Revolution. So Carlton Johnson has a poem he said could be either Poets Respond or the prompt for this week. I guess he has one that could be. I guess he has both. So let's do both. So we'll save the prompt one for Tuesday, and the prompt for Tuesday's Rattlecast, just to remind everybody, was to write a poem using the 2dictionary.com words of the year, which were pandemic and unprecedented. So that is your prompt for the weekend. Carlton Johnson has one for that, but he also has this poem. I'm going to make sure I'm making sure it's not. Yeah, so this is definitely a different poem. This is Trump's Removal, with apologies to Dr. Seuss by Carlton Johnson. And let's move this around really quick. Okay, Trump's Removal, with apologies to Dr. Seuss. Could you make him disappear in a storm cloud full of fear? Would you? Could you erase him, please? We have long endured his disease. Could you replace him with another, perhaps a Jabba or evil stepmother? Yes, I could make him fade away, at least in Home Alone 2 today. Yes, I could replace him. What would you like? A blustering beast? A terrible tyke? Could you make me forget this president of strife, anger, and neglect? Would you, could you keep us resolving to pick up these pieces, now absolving? That is Trump's Removal, with apologies to Dr. Seuss by Carlton Johnson. Thanks so much for sharing that, Carlton. We'll do your prompt poem on Tuesday too, even though that relates to current events as well, I gather. Let's see. Call up. So Rachel Tanazio is asking how to join. And you can email it to. I'll say the instructions again. So email the poem to openmic@rattle.com. Well, Rachel, where you just sent this email. Just send the poem there. If you send it already through Submittable, that's fine too, and I can pull it up on Submittable. But either way, so we have the text of the poem we can show on screen. And then give me a phone call at 818-850-7727. Or send me a chat message over Skype to Rattle Poetry, all one word. And then I will call you back. Doing either of those puts you in line, and then I would just call you back when the time is right. So we have like an 862 number I'm going to call shortly. We have a 510 number, and maybe those numbers are you. But if not, call up now and get on the list. We have to end around about an hour-long show, so hopefully we can get to everybody, but we will see. So call in now if you haven't called in yet. Next up, we will do, speaking of that, let's do the 862 number and see who that is. Hey, this is Tim with Rattle. Did you want to share a poem?
Well, it's Rachel, but I write under Raphael. I just sent you an email with the poem attached.
Excellent. Okay, I have it here. So this is Raphael with Le Tour du, I don't know if I can say this right, Le Tour du Zodiac.
Yeah, it's the Zodiac Killer. It's a joke about amongst young people about Ted Cruz.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Ted Cruz. It's sort of a, what would you call it? Like a, I don't know. It's like a parody joke. Like everybody knows it's not true, but just to mess with him, people say that, right?
Yeah. So my poem's kind of the same as everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching as they were counting the votes on the 6th, and he was bringing up this obscure thing that had happened in history about how senators had got together and voted on who would be president in this one instance, and he was suggesting to overthrow the electoral college vote. And I was watching it, and I was just writing this as it was happening. And so the Zodiac Killer in this poem's about Ted Cruz. Rumpelstiltskin is the president. And then the Moirai are the people who decided to run into the Capitol and just be terrorists.
Excellent. Well, great explanation. I think that might have been necessary too. So I'm glad you could explain that for everybody listening along. Go ahead and read it whenever you're ready. I'll put it on screen for everybody at home.
Okay. You are too stupid to be a politician. Someone spins you a spider's web, and you call it gold thread and crawl right in. Rumpelstiltskin spins speeches for you. A word, a wire, a line, a lifeline, cut and dry, crossed by the scissors of the Moirai. Someone says 2 legs bad, 4 legs good. You think you are Napoleon, but you don't have a snowball's chance in hell of getting whatever position that devil promised you. When you sold your soul, far less than the dirt you crawl in, you worm. You squig of a man of such shifting allegiances and hues as so suit. You, who, no longer pledge to that red, white, and blue. You are alone, Benedict Arnold, and for what reason you gave way to treason? I ask, how could one lone star in it stand for you?
Excellent. That was Latour Zodiac. Zodiaque. I don't know how to say. I don't know anything in French.
The Two-A du Zodiac.
Two-A du Zodiac. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. And that was Raphael with that poem. Thanks so much for calling in and sharing that. It was excellent.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Great. So let's call up Jennifer Gauthier now. Hey, Jennifer.
Hello.
Yeah, perfect. It worked. Everything's working great today, which is nice. Especially with a lot of. Usually on weeks we have a lot of new callers. We have a lot of snags, but not this week. Everybody's on point. So how are you doing? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Southwest Virginia.
Uh-huh. And is there anything you want to say about your poem before you read it?
Well, along the same lines as other folks, but I will say that it was specifically inspired by a news photo that I saw of the one congressperson, congressman kind of comforting another one. They were taking cover under the chairs, and it filled me with it moved me so much that I wanted to write the poem. Yeah, there were so many images from that day. That's one of the things too, maybe that's generating so many poems, is that there's just so many sort of things that stick with you that, just little flashes, like photographer, the journalist talking back to Angela Gartner, journalists and other people who were there, really recorded it in a way that's very memorable, which adds to poetry a lot too. So this is Dispatch from the House Floor. Go ahead whenever you're ready. I'll put it on screen. Dispatch from the House Floor. 1/6/21. I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the no longer United States of America, torn asunder, rent in two, dismembered by lies and language, twisted into an unrecognizable, horrifying thing. I took an oath, yet here I lie, prostrate on the House floor, wedged behind a row of seats, while outside shouts and skirmishes singe hallowed halls. I pray to God for strength and courage, but I have a weak heart and have never liked tight spaces. Pinned here in the seat of democracy by hordes who hate, whose fear is incited by the powerful, I wonder if this is what it felt like in 1814, when the British breached the barrier and stormed the Capitol to wrest it from renegades, redcoats armed with muskets, red caps armed with the rebel flag. We must talk about the difference between a protest and a riot, between justice and jingoism. We must tell the truth about equality and justice, about freedom and fascism. Threats of violence itself, will not deter democracy. Beneath the signs and symbols of our republic, the promise still shining brightly for all, I will stand tall. I took an oath. Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing that. That was Dispatch from the House Floor by Jennifer Gauthier from Lynchburg, Virginia. Thanks so much for sharing that, Jennifer. Thanks a lot for having me, Tim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah, hope you get calling again soon.
Thanks.
Bye. Okay. Let's do next Caleb Johnson.
Hello.
Hey, Caleb, how you doing today?
I'm all right.
And so what do you have for us? Let me see if I can...
Yeah, your evil made me hungry.
Okay. Yep, I have it here. Let me...
Can you still see me when I switch over to my notes?
Yep, we still can. Let me... I made you big, though. Let me get you in a little better. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we see you great. And so something you want to say about this before you read it? Your evil made me hungry.
Yeah. So, I mean, I live in Arkansas, pretty much the heart of Trump country. And so the question, you know, I think anybody that's been paying any attention could see this coming for, you know, miles away or something pretty close to it. And so the question in my mind then becomes, you know, where did this, you know, why to begin with? Like, you know, I come from, an extremely conservative family, but Trump wasn't their brand. Quickly became that. And what happens now? So that's kind of, yeah. And so I think there's a lot of human impulse and animalistic tendencies in what we're seeing. And hunger is definitely one of those.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, he definitely he reads a room and tells people what they want to hear, kind of, and so he didn't really create the direction. He sort of just it's sort of like if you see people marching and then run up to the front and pretend you're leading the line or something like that. I don't know, but
yeah.
Anyway,
it's kind of like if you go back, remember when he was first elected, how he took those pictures at I think it was a G8 and just shoved those people out of the way so he could just step in front and get the camera. That's what that made me think of.
Yeah, exactly. I always think of how I read an interview with him, I think in GQ magazine from like 2004 or something. And he was going on about how important it would be to have single payer healthcare and how marriage equality was so important, you know, and he'll just, you know, he'll read the room and tell whatever. He just tells you what you want to hear, no matter who you are. And there's this underbelly of, I don't know, skeptical people, you know, that he sort of tapped into. I think that's the main thing that he's done. But anyway, I'm talking too much. Let's go ahead and hear this. Your evil made me hungry. I'll put it on screen for everybody.
All right, great. Your evil made me hungry. And I'm coming back for more. I don't even give a fuck that you don't like the poor. You can go ahead and kill someone if it will start this war. I've been starving for so long, I just can't take it anymore. Your evil made me hungry, and I'm coming back for more. Even if I don't catch a break, at least I'll know what it was for. I don't care to have a Cadillac as long as you don't get to have yours. I'll turn my back on everyone if they won't quit what's made me sore, because your evil made me hungry, and I'm coming back for more. I'll do whatever you tell me to. I'll be your favorite whore. I'll show you all my anger and be a bigoted bore, just as long as you don't forget me and relish in my gore, because your evil made me hungry, and I'm coming back for more. I don't need no learning of facts from someone who knows more. There is no one who can take from me what I've been looking for. Even if you prove me wrong, I'll believe it even more, because your evil made me hungry, and I'm coming back for more. Now the boys in blue have turned and thrown me to the floor, and you won't even look at me. You don't need me like before. But that's okay, because I broke it all, those bastards who we tore from their exalted places, from their more noble lore. It was your evil made me hungry, and I'll always come back for more.
Excellent. That was Your Evil Made Me Hungry from Caleb Johnson. I love that refrain and powerful poem. Thanks so much for sharing that, Caleb.
Thank you.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
All right. Let's see who we have next. Let's do a 501 number. We'll see who that is. And Carlton Johnson says, I'd love to hear Leonard Cohen read this one. Yeah, that'd be good. The phone's... Hello?
You've reached Caleb at...
Oh, that was Caleb's phone number. Okay, I see. Let us try instead the 917 number. We'll see who that is. So the phone's ringing now at 917. We might have time for one more after this. Then I think I have to go right at the top of the hour this week. So the 917's ringing.
I think you called me again.
Oh, so, okay. Yeah, no problem. We'll talk to you later. Okay, yeah, so that was who was that? That was I don't know, someone we talked to before. So if you if you call both Skype and the phone, I can't tell. Oh, let's do Unmesh Mahit Kar from India. We'll see if we can get a connection there.
You will make me hungry, and I'll always come back for more.
Oh, hey. I hear ourselves in the background. We have you perfectly, but mute your or shut off your stream. It's better now. Perfect. Okay, so we're bringing you in. Hello. This is. Oh wait, I can still hear myself. I think in the background. Do you have a window opened up?
Just close that window, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
now it's better.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. So what do you have for us today? This is Unmesh Mohit Kar from. And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pune, India.
Ah, okay. And so, what do you have to share?
Yeah, I got a poem. Bring it on. What you got? 2021.
Awesome. I have it here. So it's our first poem, not about U.S. politics.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you could open it up to some different topics here. So bring it on. Is there anything you want to say about it before you read it?
How can I share it? I won't be able to share it. It is on the submittable.
Yeah, I have it. I have it here. So you can go ahead and read it, and I'll put it on screen for everybody at home. But you can just read your own version. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Well, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Go.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. We go. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. I am ready. We are ready. Life off track. Life haywire. Our masks are on. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. You and me, our struggles are real. Though our facade might be fake, we are here to fight. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. Not invisible, not invincible. We are humans. We'll overcome everything with spirit unimaginable. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. We are selfish, self-centered, self-loving. But when time comes, calling comes, we can be giving, loving, and caring. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. Lost many, found few. Every week a challenge new. Suffering, struggling, we welcome you. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. On hope we live, on hope we thrive. Hopeless times, right now missing few. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. The pain in the heart is throbbing and acute. Times and people have hurt us, like getting hit by a bloody bus. We are hurting, still we are shrugging. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. Our eyes are misty, our faces covered, hearts scared. But we are still ready to fight. End of the tunnel, we see the light. Bring it on. What you got? 2021. We are separated, distanced by race, religion, and country. But this year taught us Every person is important, and most important is humanity. Bring it on, what you got, 2021. Politicians still corrupt, system broken, but we are ready to fix things. Bring it on, what you got, 2021. There is smoke in the air, smelling decadent and heavy. We are here to clean the air, bring back that flair, resolve so rare. Fight for us, by us, which is so fair. Bring it on, what you got, 2021. Bring it on, what you got, 2021.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Thanks so much. A wonderful performance of that poem. Great refrain again in that one too. Definitely bring it on, 2021. Thank you. That was Unmesh Mohikar. Thank you so much. Bye. Okay. Well, that was energetic. Now I want to go tackle the world. Thank you so much, Unmesh. Let me see. We have... Let's finish up. We only have a little bit of time left. Not going to get to everybody. Let's do Manea Ionut. Yeah, I think that's going to have to be the last one for today. We're just not going to get to everybody. I'm sorry about that. Manea, hey, can you hear me? I think I hear you. Yeah, here you come. Hello? I heard you for a second. Yep, I hear you. Can you not hear me? I think we're not connecting right now. We'll have to try. Okay. Oh, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey, yeah, we can hear you. You're live on the air. Do you have a poem you want to share?
I will see you, but
are you not hearing me? I think there's a
short. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
The poem name is I Am Not Cortez.
Yeah,
it's a short poem.
Is there anything you want to say about it before you read?
I love the Rattle Poetry magazine, and I love your show, man. It's a great
thanks so
thing
much.
That you...
Well, yeah, thanks so much. Well, why don't you go ahead and read this? I'm Not Cortez.
Can listen? Okay, it's a short poem.
Mm-hmm.
The name is I Am Not Cortez. I am not Cortez, and USA is not the Aztec Empire, but I am a Scotsman, made in USA. Jumping is my disease and my ego, a brilliant son over the pocket of a poor man. Fight for a middle class. Fight for anything. Dissatisfied proletarians are everywhere, and my ambition is a great Leviathan, and the fingers are greedy old bent.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. It was I Am Not Cortez by Manea Ionut. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yep. Goodbye.
Have a nice day.
Okay. Yeah, so I think well, you know what? There's like 6 more people who are lined up, but let's do one more because that was pretty quick. That was a short poem. Let's call it Paul Ruth. See what Paul has for us today. Hey, Paul.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm all right.
So what do you have to share for us today?
I have Certified Chaos.
Certified Chaos. Let me pull it up.
And, this is kind of about the last couple of weeks, but really about, kind of impeachment and what it all means to kind of go through the process and what really builds a democracy.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, go ahead whenever you're ready. Let's hear it. Certified Chaos. Yep. Go ahead.
All right. As Hamilton broke a tie for Jefferson, or Nixon certifying Kennedy's once counted result, or with Gore v. Bush, or Hoover working for Truman, or Mike and Mitch on January 6, 2021, democracy is built by losers. Losers not falling to failure, but to substratum for the precipice to smile upon. A statue without a base, a tower without a subfloor, a house without a footing, a country without an obeyed oath cannot be more perfect. It will sag, it will lag, like a wolf in false drag. It does not flow from a tweet or a book of faces being faceless. It does not work in parlor rooms playing parlor games with the truth, but on a sea spanning from internet to TV. It isn't always a peach when choosing between apples and oranges, but it will beseech the best in us, communing over fences that make us good neighbors.
Excellent. Thanks so much for sharing that with Certified Chaos by Paul Ruth from St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Thanks so much for joining and sharing that last poem, Paul.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that is the show for today. Unfortunately, we're just pretty much out of time. But if anybody, there are a bunch of people who we didn't able to get to this week, but you can always join in the Rattlecast on Tuesday. That open, this one's Poetry Spawn Live, of course, is just for current events. But the Rattlecast on Tuesday is for anything you'd like to share, including the prompt poem. And the prompt for this week, like I mentioned, is to write a poem about the 2 dictionary.com words of the year, pandemic and unprecedented. And so the challenge is to use those in a poem and in an interesting way. So see if you can do that. Now it's time for my quick haiku. And I found this article really interesting. This was from McMaster University in Canada. And let me put it on screen really quick to get rid of here. It's a little big. I don't know if you can see. But this article, if I shrink this window a little bit. Okay, so nasal spray delivers antipsychotic drugs straight to the brain, cutting required dose by up to 75% and reducing adverse side effects. So this is really interesting. The thing that I love about doing a science haiku really quick is that science news is a lot of really good news. And before I had this job, I worked in as a counselor at a group home for mentally ill adults. And really the toll that these drugs take, these antipsychotic drugs, it was mostly adults with schizophrenia that I worked with. And just the toll on the body, the side effects are just terrible. And the problem is you give these drugs that are targeted to the brain, and it's hard to get them into the brain. So you have to take a lot more than you really need, just because such a small percentage of it crosses the blood-brain barrier. And what these researchers were able to do at McMaster University is, I think it was kind of amazing. They use nanoparticles of starch, of cornstarch. So they really super fine cornstarch in this nasal mist. And they were able to deliver the medication that way. And it goes up your olfactory nerve straight into your brain. So to get the same dose of the medication only requires about a quarter of the amount, which means it's just amazing for people who are, to reduce the side effects that way. It would just be great. So anyway, that is my good news for today. And I think, I don't know what percentage of people, just American citizens in general or people in the world, are on like Prozac and medications like that. But just for those medications too, I think we'll eventually be seeing them in this nasal mist form, which is a wonderful thing for a lot of people, I think. So that is our good science news for today. And here I have 2 really quick haiku about that. Here is the first one. Morning fog, the men line up for their meds. Morning fog, the men line up for their meds. Then here's another one-line haiku. More drizzle than mist, refilling pillbox. Oops, that should have been refilling the pillbox. We'll edit it live on the air. More drizzle than mist, refilling the pillbox. Those are my 2 haiku for today. Hope you enjoyed those. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of good news from the science world. Science it benefits from good news in a way that current events type news doesn't usually. So they like to spread good news, and we like to spread good news too. So that is the show for today. Thanks so much for participating, and sorry again to everybody we didn't get to, but feel free to join us for the open mic on Tuesday night. And let me remind you that this week's guest on Tuesday is going to be Jennifer Jean and her new book, Object Lesson. We interviewed Jennifer in Rattle number 53, so you can look back at that. A really great interview. She's just a wonderful person that does so much good work, both just writing poetry and within the poetry community. She runs a lot of workshops for people who get a lot of benefit from poetry. We'll talk about all about those later. On Tuesday, January 19th, in reading her book, Object Lesson. That is Rattlecast number 76. And of course, afterward, we'll have the open mic, either based on the prompt or news poems we didn't get to, or anything else you'd like to share. So I will see you then. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.